Hi there, I just posted a video on Rumble. This is to let you, my YouTube audience, know. So one of the things I talk about, a lot of different things, but one of the things I didn't talk about was just something I read that was very interesting. One of the Substacks I read is called A Midwestern Doctor, The Forgotten Side of Medicine. And in her Substack of May 4th, 2023, she talks about statins. Now, statins, as you know, are to lower cholesterol in the body. And I had known about statins, especially for my late husband, and I knew that they were not good. I'm firmly of the belief that you do not need to lower cholesterol, that we need cholesterol. In fact, I eat a lot of butter and eggs and all those things. But it was interesting. She's very good. So if you like medical issues, I love reading her posts. So one of the things she said, frequently when I review a pharmaceutical injury, meaning from some drug, I hear a very similar story from the patient. They did not want to take the pharmaceutical, but they caved into the doctor's authority since the doctor pressured them. Afterward, they deeply regretted not listening to their intuition. Throughout my life, I've noticed that doctors tend to develop, she's a doctor herself, a deep psychological irritation if a patient refuses to use a pharmaceutical that the doctor believes is in the patient's best interest. I've always thought this was strange. If I told someone to do something I believed was for their own good, but they declined, I'd say to them that they were an adult who could live with the consequences of their decision, leave it at that, and move on with my life. I now believe that this reflexive response to patient non-compliance is a foundational component of the medical gaslighting phenomenon. So here's what has happened with statins, which are big, big business. And almost everybody is considered to have high cholesterol. Even a long time ago, I don't take blood tests anymore, but when I did, it would show that my cholesterol was higher than it should be. But I consider that a good sign. It's tied to better longevity. Is it any wonder doctors, when hearing these patient complaints of tiredness, weakness, wobbly knee with burning pain and numbness, poor coordination, and terrible memory, these are all things that can happen when somebody takes statins, respond with a predictable, "You're over 50 now," and have to expect these kinds of things? I've made peace with the fact that many useless drugs are on the market, and now I only focus my energy on protesting medications that harm patients. Ever since statins hit the market, colleagues and I began observing case after case of individuals who lost sensation in their body, developed muscle pains, or had cognitive decline set in once they started the statin, which immediately resolved once they stopped the statin. Simultaneously, we also noticed that whenever we pointed this out to their doctor, the doctor would become extremely hostile and then both insist the statin could not be causing the symptom, and even if it was, the patient needed not to stop using it because otherwise they would get a heart attack and die. See how they can use fear to control you, and you think the doctor knows something that you don't? I mean, I am off all pharmaceuticals, all. I don't go to the doctor anymore. I mean, I'm on Medicare, but it's like, I don't ever use it. I would only use it if it's like a broken arm or whatever. So So she talks a lot about medical gaslighting, and we get this with a lot of issues. And that's why it's very important that you know your body better than anyone else. And if you're a parent, you know your child better than anyone else. And if you're a spouse, you often know your spouse better than anyone else in terms of their body. And each person's an individual. And to trust a doctor that doesn't see you that often, or to think that they know when they just have a cookie cutter approach to everyone, I mean, especially as you get older, you're going to have problems. Trust me, you're going to have problems. And I say trust me because I took care of my husband as he got older. He died at the age of 90. He had a very good life. But when medical issues would come up, I had to do a lot of research. And I usually figured out for him what the problem was. And it often had to do with some pharmaceutical he was taking. So here's the interesting thing. I copied this out because I thought it was interesting. She said, previously, to explain medical gaslighting, I've argued it primarily results from the fact that doctors at pharma-funded medical schools are rarely taught to recognize the adverse effects of medications. So think about that. They're rarely taught to recognize the adverse effects of medications, which matters because most people cannot identify a disease unless they are trained to look for it. Unless they're trained to look for it. And because doctors are human, they do not want to believe they hurt a patient with their medication. The broader issue as yet talked about is that practicing medicine requires many unquestioned assumptions. So a doctor just has, vaccines are good, this is good, this is good. And most doctors can't function if all of those assumptions have to be questioned. So while medical gaslighting profoundly bothers me, now remember, gaslighting is when you go in and you say, that's not causing it, okay? Even though it cropped up after you started taking a particular medication, say. I have a great deal of sympathy for why it occurs, and I don't believe the issue can be solved by directly attacking doctors, who in most cases will just be human and get defensive when it happens. I mean, think about it. You got to worry about somebody's ego or that they're going to get their feelings hurt when it's your body and you're suffering. So one of the things I urge people to do is you have got to be your own medical doctor. You can ask for somebody's advice, you can read up on things, you can do some research, but you are responsible for yourself, for your own health and the health of the people that you're taking care of. I strongly urge you to do it. Okay? It's worked for me. The more I rely on myself and do my own research, I'm feeling better and doing better, I think, than I ever have. And I'm 69, I'm very healthy, I don't have aches and pains, joint problems, anything. And I feel for those that do, and I understand, but you really should take a holistic approach to healing whatever it is. And, get rid of processed foods, carbs. Eat a lot of butter, eggs, meat. The closer you get to food being natural, and go easy on the fruit. It's too much sugar. But anyway, I will just leave it at that and hope you join me on Rumble for a long discussion on a whole bunch of very interesting topics. I think they're interesting. Hope to see you there. Bye.